Petticoat Junction, 1963 to 1970, was one of the most charming and beloved sitcoms of the 1960s, bringing audiences the lighthearted adventures of the Bradley family at the Shady Rest Hotel. With a delightful mix of humor, small-town warmth, and unforgettable characters, the series became a staple of classic television and a fan favorite for years. Starring B. Benaderet, Edgar Buchanan, Linda K. Henning, and more, the show captured the spirit of its era and left a lasting legacy in TV history. But after the final episode aired, what happened to the cast? In 2025, we look back at the stars of Petticoat Junction to see where their careers and lives have taken them and how they are remembered today. Edgar Buchanan was born on March 20, 1903 in Humansville, Missouri, and was 60 when he took on the role of Uncle Joe Carson in Petticoat Junction in 1963. Uncle Joe, with his roguish charm, laziness, and endless scheming, became the show's anchor, embodying the archetype of a lovable trickster whose plans invariably backfired, yet somehow always endeared him to audiences. Growing up in rural Missouri, Buchanan's early life was fraught with economic hardship. His family struggled to make ends meet, and Edgar learned early to navigate scarcity teasing and the judgment of neighbors, cultivating a keen wit and a thick skin. Before finding his niche in acting, Buchanan trained as a dentist and even practiced professionally, but he found himself drawn to the stage and screen, facing years of rejection and minor roles before finally breaking through as a character actor. Despite his genial reputation, whispers circulated about his stubbornness and insistence on script fidelity, and he occasionally clashed with producers who sought to modernize or alter his beloved roles. Married but private, Buchanan maintained a home life largely shielded from the public eye, though his towering presence and commanding voice made him an unforgettable personality on set. He was also a committed Freemason and valued tradition traits that sometimes made him seem old-fashioned to Hollywood colleagues. Financially, despite decades of work in radio, film, and television, his estate was relatively modest, estimated at $500,000 at the time of his death on April 4, 1979, at 76, a reflection of an actor who prioritized consistency and integrity over high-profile stardom. Yet, his influence was enduring. Uncle Joe Carson became an archetype of American television comedy, his flaws as charming as his wit, and his legacy lives on in the affectionate memories of viewers who found both humor and humanity in his roguish antics. Frank Cady was born on September 8, 1915, in Susanville, California, and was 48 when he originated the role of Sam Drucker in Petticoat Junction in 1963, a character he would reprise across multiple CBS sitcoms, including Green Acres and the Beverly Hillbillies, making him the only actor to sustain a single character concurrently on 3 shows. Sam Drucker, the genial, omniscient general store owner, became the small-town conscience and narrative anchor in Hooterville, subtly guiding the chaotic lives around him with quiet wisdom and a touch of humor. Raised during the hardships of the Great Depression, Cady experienced scarcity, familial pressure, and the societal upheavals of the era, which imbued him with resilience, empathy, and a work ethic that would define his long career. Professionally, he faced the grind of Hollywood character acting typecasting and the extraordinary demands of juggling 3 shows simultaneously, all while maintaining consistency in performance, navigating contracts, and avoiding burnout. Known for his humility and private nature, Cady steered clear of scandal, yet he was meticulous about his craft, often mentoring younger actors and advocating for respect toward character actors in an industry obsessed with stars. Personal life challenges included a wartime stint in the Army and balancing a family life away from public scrutiny, maintaining privacy while enduring the pressures of a high-visibility career. At the time of his death on June 8, 2012, at age 96, his net worth was estimated at $1.5 billion, accumulated through decades of steady work residuals and shrewd management. His portrayal of Sam Drucker remains a singular achievement, a testament to consistency, understated talent, and the quiet power of a supporting character whose moral and comic guidance anchored multiple television worlds, leaving a legacy that illustrates the enduring value of dependability and skill over scandal or sensationalism. Beye Benaderet was born on April 4, 1906 in New York City, and was 57 when she assumed the role of Kate Bradley in Petticoat Junction in 1963. Kate Bradley, the strong, nurturing matriarch, held the shady Rest Hotel and her family together with a blend of sharp intelligence, warmth, and resilience, serving as the moral and emotional core of the series. Bee's childhood was marked by upheaval and modest circumstances in a large, competitive family where she frequently had to contend with financial limitations and the pressure to distinguish herself in a world that offered few opportunities for women. She entered radio and early television battling systemic sexism, the constant threat of replacement, and the competitive pressures of voice and character acting, becoming a beloved figure whose vocal talents spanned animation and live-action projects alike. Behind the wholesome facade of Kate Bradley, Benaderet could be intensely protective of her roles, reportedly clashing with co-stars and producers when scripts did not meet her exacting standards, or when she felt her character's intelligence was compromised. She turned down prominent roles in other landmark shows, including I Love Lucy, decisions she later regretted, illustrating both the risks and pride inherent in her career choices. Health challenges, especially her lung cancer diagnosis, forced her departure in the 5th season, and her death on October 13, 1968, at age 62, was a profound shock to colleagues and fans alike. Financially, she amassed an estate worth approximately $1 million, reflecting her decades of pioneering work across radio, television, and voice acting. Despite her struggles with illness and professional pressures, her legacy endures as a trailblazer who balanced maternal authority, comedic timing, and dramatic skill, leaving an indelible impression on American television and setting standards for female performers in comedic and family-centered roles. Meredith McRae, born May 30, 1944 in Houston, Texas, was 22 when she joined Petticoat Junction in 1966 as Billie Jo Bradley, a character that subverted the typical blonde bombshell stereotype by combining ambition, wit, and musical talent. Billie Jo was independent, assertive, and unafraid to challenge authority, often clashing with town figures while pursuing her own career, making her a relatable figure for women seeking autonomy during the 1960s. McRae's childhood was complicated. She grew up in a show business family that demanded success while exposing her to scrutiny, teasing, and high expectations, which fostered early insecurities and a tendency to mask vulnerability with charm and humor. Her career trajectory was marked by tension. She often confronted typecasting, creative disagreements with producers, and periods of diminished opportunity, leading to frustration and struggles with alcoholism, which she later confronted and spoke about publicly. McRae's personal life was equally turbulent, including 3 marriages that ended in divorce, periods of estrangement from family, and the emotional toll of balancing public visibility with private desires. Despite these challenges, she remained engaged in activism, lecturing on addiction, and mentoring young performers, demonstrating resilience beyond her on-screen persona. Her greatest professional disappointment came in the 1970s, when television opportunities dwindled, forcing her to pivot to talk shows and guest appearances, a move that was both stabilizing and humbling. McRae died July 14, 2000, at age 56 from complications of brain cancer, leaving a net worth of approximately $1 million accumulated through acting, hosting, and speaking engagements. Billie Joe Bradley endures as an emblem of intelligent femininity and ambition, while Meredith McRae's life story illustrates the hidden pressures, personal battles, and professional frustrations that underpinned her public charm. Mike Miner, born December 7, 1940 in San Francisco, was 24 when he first appeared as Steve Elliott on Petticoat Junction in 1964, portraying the earnest, heroic crop duster pilot, whose integrity, romanticism, and steadiness anchored the series' later storylines. Steve Elliott became a cultural archetype of the dependable, morally upright man, whose charm and reliability contrasted with the chaotic energy of the Bradley sisters, especially as Miner's on-screen chemistry with Linda Kay Henning mirrored a real-life romantic partnership, further enchanting audiences. Miner's childhood was shaped by both privilege and expectation, growing up in a family that valued achievement and adaptability, which prepared him for a life in the public eye, yet instilled an undercurrent of restlessness and private introspection. His career, while steady, was punctuated by challenges including multiple marriages, short-lived soap opera stints, and the constant pressure to avoid typecasting, a common struggle for actors in serialized television. Though Miner avoided the more salacious scandals of his peers, his personal life revealed complexity and vulnerability marked by repeated attempts to reconcile career ambitions with domestic stability and a tendency toward introspection over public confrontation. His most notable career disappointment was the failure of certain spin-off ventures and the inability to fully break into film despite television's success, a source of quiet professional frustration. Miner died January 28, 2016, at age 75 from cancer, leaving an estate estimated between $1 and $2 million, representing a combination of television music and stage work accrued over decades. Steve Elliott remains a symbol of dependable, wholesome mid-century television masculinity, while Mike Miner's life underscores the subtle tensions between public persona and private ambition, illustrating the hidden complexities of a career in early American television. Charles Gerstle. Levison, professionally known as Charles Lane, was born on January 26, 1905 in San Francisco, and was 58 when he began portraying Homer Bedloe in Petticoat Junction in 1963. Bedloe, the calculating, conniving railroad executive, embodied the archetype of the relentless antagonist whose scheming presence fueled much of the show's comedic tension and underscored the Shady Rest Hotel's vulnerability. Lane's upbringing was austere and disciplined, marked by limited financial resources and parental expectations that instilled in him a strong work ethic, meticulousness, and a dry, sometimes caustic wit, qualities that later defined his extensive acting career. Over more than 7 decades, Lane appeared in hundreds of films and television programs, often playing stern authority figures or irascible villains, and developed a reputation for uncompromising professionalism that sometimes led to friction with directors and co-stars, though he carefully guarded his private life and avoided public scandal. Despite his personal reserve, he endured the broader challenges of a shifting Hollywood, including the decline of the studio system and the physical and emotional toll of near-constant work. Lane's personal life was marked by steadfast privacy, with few publicly known personal controversies, allowing him to cultivate a persona almost entirely distinct from the characters he portrayed. He passed away on July 9, 2007, at age 102, leaving an estate valued between $2 to $3 million, reflecting a long and prolific career. Lane's legacy is monumental. He exemplified the art of the character actor, elevating supporting roles to iconic status, and his portrayals continue to serve as benchmarks of precision wit and the subtle power of understated performance in television and film history. Patricia Joy Woodell, born July 12, 1944 in Winthrop, Massachusetts, was 19 when she first assumed the role of Bobby Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction in 1963. Bobby Jo, the sweet-natured, intelligent middle sister, balanced charm with poise, becoming a relatable figure, navigating the comedic and romantic entanglements of rural life. Woodell's childhood was far from serene. She was raised in a modest household, facing economic constraints and the emotional turbulence of a family struggling to make ends meet, which instilled in her early independence and a tendency to conceal insecurities behind a charming facade. Her early entry into Hollywood thrust her into a competitive and often exploitative industry where young actresses were pressured to maintain appearances, navigate typecasting, and endure frequent critiques. Woodell's ambition led her to leave the series after 2 seasons to pursue a singing career, a venture that brought moderate success but also exposed the harsh realities of a fickle entertainment world. Off-camera, her life was shaped by a commitment to privacy, though she faced the common pressures of early fame, including complicated romantic relationships and the challenge of establishing a personal identity separate from her public persona. Later, she pivoted to business consulting, demonstrating adaptability and resourcefulness. Yet, her experiences in Hollywood left lasting impressions regarding fame's fleeting and often unforgiving nature. Woodell passed away after a protracted battle with cancer on September 29, 2015, at age 71. Her estate was estimated at under $1 million, a modest reflection of her career's brevity in the spotlight and later ventures. But her portrayal of Bobby Jo continues to resonate with audiences representing the enduring appeal of intelligence, warmth, and understated charm in classic television. Linda Henning, born September 16, 1944 in Los Angeles, was 19 when she began portraying Betty Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction in 1963. The spirited and charming youngest daughter, whose tomboyish energy and wit made her instantly relatable to audiences, while her romantic storylines with Steve Elliott added emotional depth. Betty Jo's character deftly balanced innocence, flirtation, and spirited defiance, often serving as a narrative lens through which viewers could explore family dynamics and societal expectations in 1960s America. Henning's childhood was shaped by her father, Paul Henning, whose creative vision for television influenced her entry into show business, though it also created the burden of high expectations and scrutiny. Growing up under both public and familial pressure, she faced teasing for her precociousness and ambitions, forcing her to develop emotional resilience and a careful public demeanor. Professionally, Linda navigated the duality of nepotism and meritocracy, initially auditioning anonymously to avoid claims of favoritism. And while she achieved steady success, she endured the subtle rivalries and politics inherent to ensemble casts and network television, confronting whispered accusations of preferential treatment, as well as the challenges of maintaining agency within scripts and storylines largely written by male showrunners. Her marriage to co-star Mike Minor, echoing their on-screen romance, ultimately ended in divorce, a union that, while initially celebrated, became a quiet source of personal turmoil, compounded by public attention. Subsequent marriage to actor Ashby Adams offered relative domestic stability, yet she faced the constant challenge of balancing personal fulfillment against the demands of a public career. Today, at age 81, Henning maintains a low-profile life, with a net worth estimated at $1 million, accumulated from decades of television work, voiceovers, and stage performances, reflecting a career that successfully bridged childhood opportunity, familial expectations, and professional resilience, securing her legacy as a versatile actress capable of embodying both youthful vivacity and measured emotional depth. Born December 2, 1908, in Vinson, Oklahoma, was 54 when he assumed the role of Floyd Smoot in Petticoat Junction in 1963, instantly becoming the heart of the show with his genial, slightly bumbling train conductor who radiated innocence and comic timing. Floyd Smoot was more than a sidekick. He embodied the gentle optimism of rural Americana, the everyman whose misadventures were both humorous and poignant, making him unforgettable to viewers. Davis's own childhood was marked by deprivation and struggle. Growing up in a small, economically challenged town, he faced the frequent ridicule of peers and strict, often distant parents, which fueled his talent for mimicry and sound effects as a form of escape and self-preservation. Professionally, Davis's trajectory was defined by resilience and eccentricity. He had traversed vaudeville radio and early television, confronting periods of obscurity and financial instability. Colleagues often found him difficult to work with, obsessed as he was with perfecting animal noises and comic timing, leading to minor on-set frictions, though he never engaged in major scandal. His personal life remained largely private. Davis never married, living a solitary existence with occasional close friendships in the entertainment industry. Yet beneath this quiet exterior was a man who nurtured young talent and offered mentorship generously, sometimes at his own expense. Davis's career also saw near misses and disappointments, such as losing film roles to younger performers or being typecast in minor character roles despite his evident skill. He died December 13, 1974 in Torrance, California at 66 from natural causes, leaving a modest estate valued under $500,000, reflecting decades of diligent but understated work. Floyd Smoot remains a testament to Davis's artistry, capturing the essence of mid-century television charm, while his personal story reveals the hidden pressures, isolation, and obsessive perfectionism that shaped his life and career. Laurie Saunders, born October 4, 1941, in Kansas City, Missouri, was 24 when she assumed the role of Bobby Joe Bradley in 1965, replacing Pat Woodell and imbuing the character with a more glamorous, musically talented, and sultry persona that contrasted with the rural simplicity of the shady rest setting. Her Bobby Joe exuded confidence and charm, often using her singing talents to enhance episodes, and her presence introduced a layer of sophistication and sensuality, broadening the show's appeal while maintaining the family-friendly essence. Saunders' early life was marked by modest means and intermittent instability, with her family grappling with economic limitations and social pressures that required her to cultivate both independence and determination from a young age. She often endured ridicule and criticism from peers, learning to conceal vulnerability behind a composed and polished exterior. Career-wise, Laurie navigated the gendered expectations of 1960s television, confronting typecasting and the persistent tension between public image and private self, while quietly negotiating professional autonomy in a male-dominated industry. She avoided Hollywood scandal, focusing on disciplined work habits, but endured the silent pressures of being a young woman thrust into fame, managing fan attention, studio demands, and public scrutiny with composure. Off-screen, her marriage to Bernard Sandler in 1961 offered a sanctuary of stability, allowing her to pursue activism in environmental causes and vegetarian advocacy, while gradually transitioning out of television to focus on painting and sculpture after retiring in 1980. Today, at 84, her net worth is estimated at over $3 million, built on a combination of successful television earnings, royalties, and careful investments, reflecting a life of artistic versatility, prudent financial management, and personal integrity, cementing her reputation as a quietly influential figure, whose contributions to classic television and cultural advocacy extend far beyond her on-screen performances. Janine Riley, born October 1, 1940 in Madera, California, took on the role of Billie Jo Bradley in Petticoat Junction in 1963 at the age of 23, immediately establishing herself as a vivacious, flirtatious, and independent young woman whose charms and mischief often drove the show's comedic and romantic storylines. Billie Jo was the quintessential small-town beauty with a rebellious streak, a character who balanced charm and cleverness to win audience sympathy, even while causing chaos, making Riley's portrayal a pivotal element in the show's early success. Riley's childhood was far from idyllic. She grew up in a modest working-class household where her artistic ambitions were often dismissed, and she endured teasing and ridicule from peers that instilled in her a mixture of resilience, defiance, and a tendency to conceal her vulnerabilities behind a bubbly persona. Her career trajectory was fraught with challenges despite her early success. The casting for Petticoat Junction itself stirred rumors of favoritism over 300 competitors, and her transition to film work met with mixed results, including critical failures and box office disappointments, leaving her grappling with the realities of Hollywood's fickle nature. Off-screen, Riley's personal life was punctuated by tumultuous relationships and 2 marriages that never produced children, adding layers of complexity to her public image as she navigated fame, professional jealousy, and the relentless pressures of maintaining relevance in a competitive industry. She also contended with the persistent scrutiny of media and fans, particularly regarding her appearance and conduct, which occasionally intersected with career opportunities. Despite these hurdles, Riley forged a successful path across television and film, eventually amassing a net worth estimated at $4 million at 84, reflecting her enduring influence and the ability to translate early television fame into sustained professional and financial stability while maintaining a carefully managed private life that shielded her from deeper scandal. Gunilla Hutton, born May 15, 1944, in Gothenburg, Sweden, stepped into the role of Billie Jo Bradley in 1965 at age 21, following Janine Riley, bringing a distinctive combination of glamour, quirkiness, and lively comic timing that refreshed the character while simultaneously generating controversy among fans and industry insiders. Hutton's portrayal emphasized charm, light-hearted mischief, and a sensual sophistication that added narrative tension and kept the show dynamic, though her brief tenure also reflected the challenges of recasting an established role amid audience expectations. Her early life was marked by displacement and cultural adaptation, moving from Sweden to the United States and navigating the difficulties of assimilation while experiencing financial instability and parental absence, which contributed to a resilient yet guarded personality that shaped her approach to the entertainment industry. Professionally, Hutton's career extended beyond Petticoat Junction, including a long run on Hee Haw, but it was marred by scandal, most notably her widely publicized affair with Nat King Cole, which created public scrutiny and complicated professional relationships, leaving her navigating the delicate balance between personal ambition and social censure. Her personal life included marriage to DJ Alan Freeman and raising 3 children, while simultaneously contending with lingering notoriety from past controversies and managing her public persona in the wake of scrutiny. Hutton retired from active performance in 1992, yet her legacy endures, bolstered by a net worth estimated at $3 million derived from sustained television work, musical contributions, and residuals, positioning her as a figure whose career exemplifies both the allure and the pitfalls of fame, where personal choices and public fascination intersect to shape a complex, often misunderstood legacy. June Lockhart, born June 25, 1925 in New York City, joined Petticoat Junction in 1968 at age 43 as Dr. Janet Craig, stepping into the series during a critical transitional period following Bea Benadér's death, providing a stabilizing and intellectual presence to the ensemble. Dr. Craig's character embodied poise, empathy, and moral clarity, offering guidance to younger characters while maintaining a quiet but commanding influence over the narrative, helping the show navigate significant shifts in tone and cast dynamics. Lockhart's upbringing in a family of performers was fraught with pressures of expectation, constant relocations, and early exposure to the harsh realities of show business, which cultivated her disciplined work ethic and emotional restraint, but also created internal struggles with self-expression and personal vulnerability. Professionally, Lockhart faced the dual challenges of typecasting and the limitations imposed on women in Hollywood, including periods of career stagnation and intense competition for substantive roles, all while maintaining a public image of wholesomeness. Her personal life was marked by both accomplishment and controversy. Politically active and outspoken, she confronted public figures over discriminatory remarks, and her engagement with civic causes occasionally drew media attention that contrasted sharply with her television persona. Lockhart endured the common tragedies of aging in an unforgiving industry, including the deaths of colleagues and peers, which reinforced her focus on long-term career sustainability. Today, at 100 years old, she enjoys a well-earned legacy with a net worth estimated at $10 million, accrued through decades of prolific work in television and film, representing both professional resilience and the careful navigation of Hollywood's evolving landscape, while maintaining her personal principles and influence as a trailblazing actress. Byron Falger, born August 27, 1898, in Ogden, Utah, was 65 when he began portraying Wendell Gibbs in Petticoat Junction in 1963. The neurotic, perpetually anxious train conductor, whose quivering voice and meticulous attention to duty provided a subtle anchor amid the shady rest hotel's chaotic energy. Gibbs's character was a masterclass in understated comedy, embodying the perfect blend of timidity, fastidiousness, and comic vulnerability, endearing him to audiences who relished his tiny gestures of resistance and moral rectitude. Falger's early life was fraught with hardship. He grew up in a financially strained household where strict discipline clashed with creative instincts, and his diminutive frame and soft-spoken nature made him a target for teasing and ridicule, forcing him to develop both emotional resilience and a penchant for observing human behavior from the shadows. Career-wise, he navigated Hollywood's treacherous landscape as a prolific character actor, appearing in hundreds of films and TV shows, yet often typecast as meek clerks, morticians, or peripheral antagonists. He endured the frustrations of being overlooked for lead roles, and his perfectionist tendencies sometimes alienated colleagues. Rumors circulated of tense exchanges with co-stars, including a reported altercation with Errol Flynn over a flirtation with his wife actress Dorothy Adams. Though his political life remained discreet, his principled demeanor sometimes placed him at odds with studio executives, particularly during the mid-century studio system's tightening grip. In his personal life, Falger cultivated deep but private bonds with his family, balancing domestic stability against the often capricious demands of Hollywood, yet he lived with the quiet shadow of missed opportunities and unfulfilled ambitions. He died on April 4, 1970. Ironically, the same day Petticoat Junction's final episode aired at 71 from heart complications in Los Angeles. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated under $100,000, reflecting a lifetime of steady, unsensational work. Yet his performances remain enduring touchstones for the nuanced portrayal of nervous yet morally grounded supporting characters, blending comic timidity with a subtle, enduring authority. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of Petticoat Junction, 1963-1970, And where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.